there's a couple of questions around console support and how that's progressing.
Sure.
And how the new platforms are affected by that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm still in progress of working on PlayStation support, moving it over to the new API. We're a little sidetracked there because of some problems with the C# support on that platform. That's being handled a couple different ways. There are some different solutions, but there's only one solution that we can really use, and this is specifically PlayStation 5. PlayStation 4, it's kind of solved, but it's kind of distracted us a little bit. And in the process here of doing the Vulkan work, we did updates to the native API. Well, those updates to the native API need to be ported to the console APIs. So there's a little bit of work there we need to do clean up and unify that. And that's something that we have to unfortunately handle internally because all that stuff has to be private. But we need to make it smoother for ourselves to update those things. And it's really my responsibility to make sure that happens. So it's on me. I need to be working a little harder on that stuff to make sure the consoles are kept up to date with the main repo. But there's a lot of things happening in the main repo on a day-to-day basis. So it's been, difficult for our small team here to pull it together. But the console updates are coming along with everything. I will commit to making sure that at least the PlayStation ones are updated. I know that Switch is updated and Xbox is updated, but I know that there's been a couple of bug reports on the Xbox side. So I need to look into that, and I need to get PlayStation done. By next AMA, we should be talking about the new console platform that I can't talk about other than, the Nintendo Direct was really great last Friday. So there's a lot of stuff going on with consoles there, and all this stuff will work for consoles. That's the whole point of this.
I think that even includes some of the non-private APIs, so things like the Steam Deck and the ROG Allies and things like that, which are all not open platforms, but they're platforms that use standard capabilities. But we're always looking for people to test on those. I think there was an issue raised recently about the Steam Deck and audio, I think it was.
There was a bug there, but we determined, so there's a bug with audio on Steam Deck, and what it basically was, they were running the Windows version of the game through, I think it's called Photon, is that what it's called? The compatibility layer that lets Windows stuff run on Steam Deck. Proton, there you go. Proton, same thing. There was basically Proton has a problem, dealing with some Windows audio, or it's actually video API, I think is what it was. Actually, I think if I remember correctly, but it was having some trouble with that and was doing the wrong thing there. And, there's nothing we can do about it. It's just how that works. Other than the only thing we can do about it is to stop using those Windows APIs that are hard for them to make compatible there. And the developer can fix it also by just, shipping a Linux build that actually works on Steam Deck. We should definitely
make. I took away from that was we probably do need like a Linux building tutorial especially for people who want to use Windows. Something to demonstrate that in process, and using, because GitHub and also a lot of the other automation pipelines, they have Linux hosts. MonoGame is a cross-platform framework. All you need to do is simply say, use a Linux host, build MonoGame. There's the output, and then you can ship it to Steam for building. But we do need docs to sort of describe that.
Yeah, I think we haven't really treated Steam Deck as its own concept of a platform, but we should definitely start thinking of it as a platform. Even though it's just Linux, we should definitely start thinking of it as a platform and making some bigger strides to explain to people how they deploy for Steam Deck and things like that. So that would probably be a good thing. And I guess this also falls into line with Microsoft's new thing, which I'm not sure how that's doing. What is it called? The ROG Ally something or other. I don't remember what it is.
It's the ROG X Ally. Or ROG Ally X.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, effectively that is just a Windows machine running the Windows GDK. It's nothing fantastic about it.
Yeah. So that's something we definitely want to support. I just don't know how it's going to do. It's kind of an expensive thing. I think that we'll see how it turns out, but there's no reason why we can't support it. We have all the bits to support it. But I know it'll become important for anybody that targets Xbox, that they'll be looking to support this thing as well. Man, that thing's a monstrosity, isn't it? It's just a screen with an Xbox controller around it.
Well, ironically, it's just the ROG Ally branded with some extra bits in it, I think. It's got like a different game view mode and a few other things.
Right.
There's a few
ROG Ally is its own ROG Ally. It's its own thing. This is just an Xbox ROG Ally. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't follow a lot of these things. So.
Yeah, something to partner with Asus to ship out.
Right. So yeah, I think that we want to support more of these things, and as we get some of these core refactors done, and right the ship on a lot of these things, we should be able to start moving into these other directions. So yeah, it'll include stuff like that. Let's see any other questions.
Yeah, there was some other questions about the other 2D tutorials, and the 3D tutorials in the mix. So they're progressing. 2 of the tutorials are inching closer to getting released. That's both the shader series and also the mobile series. Those who've been observant, that the authors have been reaching out on Discord to get other people to pitch in and review it, just like they did with the Aris Turtles tutorial. The 3D tutorial and the networking ones, they're taking a bit longer. The authors are doing what they can, but they're just having some personal issues trying to get things done. But they keep working on things and keep pushing ahead. But as soon as I have more and more, you'll have them. But the ultimate aim is that with the 3.8.5 release, those tutorials will come to fruition with that release. Especially the mobile one, because it has some dependencies on some fixes that were in 3.8.5. So you can keep up to date, keep looking. That's Simon. And we'll keep you up to date with how they're doing and progressing. But ultimately, if you want to pitch in, those tutorials are available online, and you can review them and help the author make it the best it can for the entire community. So they're all there. Have at it, as it were.
Cool.
Right, looking through. Yeah, we certainly didn't need more tutorials about using automation to basically automate is that word? Automate a lot of the things you can do, and especially as we're moving to things like the content builder process, the ability to ship that to an automation system to just do it for you will be invaluable.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess what else? Something else we're missing, guys? I'm forgetting now.
I don't know if Thomas, you can answer this one. There's one from Aris Turtle asking about different flavors of Linux. Certainly a grey area for me to. I don't know if we can talk about what kind of flavors of Linux MonoGame supports.
Mostly the ones that are supported also by the .NET framework. So the .NET framework is specifically built mostly for, or mainly for, Ubuntu, Arch Linux, and I guess Debian, and that's maybe all, I guess. And one thing to consider is that the Steam Deck is running on an Arch Linux, and it's likely going to be a focus. So if you want to be more serious about supporting the Steam Deck, we want to make sure that it works just fine on Arch Linux.
And as ever, if you've got these devices, please help out and test and report any issues with either while you're developing or while you're just checking projects, or even using our lovely 2D tutorial that we've got and whipping that onto a Steam Deck and see how it runs. We can pay Chris with more feedback on his tutorial.
Yeah.
It still amazes me, no matter how many reviews, how many people have looked at it, we still get people going, there's a typo there. You're like, seriously? I mean, upwards of over 100 people have reviewed this and gone through, and people still find a typo that someone else didn't. But we appreciate our community pitching in to keep it all up to date. Oh, that'd be interesting. So get MonoGame working on one of the old Atari systems, like the Atari 2500 or 2600.
Yeah, good luck.
Well,
Didn't some, you know, I think
putting on a pie.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I guess that what the Sam are mentioning is the RTVCS. It's actually a Linux-based console, so it's released quite recently, and it can run games. And as far as I know, it runs MonoGame games because we've made one here at our studio. So, and if I may add just about Linux and Steam Deck support, if I have the time to, I am willing to write the documentation for this. And one thing is that there is a cool thing about GitHub and the recent .NET releases is that you don't quite need to own a Linux machine or even a virtual machine to make Linux build, even natively using publish IoT, because you can leverage GitHub Actions and automate all the builds using Dix.gl and soon Dix.vk, and just making builds and even automatically pushing them to Steam. And I know that because this is what we've been doing here internally at our studio for a few years now, and it just works. So it works natively on Steam Deck, it works natively on Linux and so on, and there is basically nothing much to do. So I hope to be able to document that, but just wanting to reassure people that you don't need to own anything of Linux to make it run on Steam Deck actually.
Yeah, thanks for that, Thomas. I suppose there's an interesting debate, Tom, is that there's questions about MonoGame 5. Granted, it's still a footnote in our sort of roadmap of what that dream would be. I don't think we've ever formally discussed what that would take, other than it will be all new. I suppose daily, the idea of what MonoGame 5 is, especially we now have the native pipeline, what that would be.
Yeah, we've never really defined exactly what that would be. I think that we all agree that there is some plan for having to enhance the API, right, from what we have to something a little bit better. And obviously part of that is having some form of I think it's having some form of, render context. Like if you think about the rendering side of things, MonoGame is monolithic. It has a graphics device. You call draw on a graphics device. Well, the modern APIs, you don't do that. You call draws on, command lists. You get a command list. You call draws on command lists, and then you submit command lists. I think we need a high-level API that is more like that will work across all the platforms. And it gives us some form of threading, so that you can do some more advanced stuff. But you don't. Ideally, you wouldn't have to use that. You can use a very simplified version, so that's some core of it, is that, some basic things like being able to, some commonality between vertex buffers and index buffers as far as their types and things like that, and just buffers in general. Those are the kind of things that we need to have, that needs to happen at the low level. At the high level, there's a desire for things like some sort of concept around a mesh batch or a model batch or something of that nature, of batching together 3D geometry very easily. That could be done even with the current APIs, could maybe be done better with a better API. So there's ideas around things like that. And then plus just the low-level graphic stuff of just having a better effect system that gives us more flexibility there with effects, as far as having other stages that we don't currently have, having compute, things like that. Those are all part of moving towards a newer API. And whenever we make that jump, which I don't think is happening immediately for sure, I think when we do that jump, it'll probably be, a new branch off of develop that's going to be doing that. It'll kind of live separately, and at some point will become the thing we focus on, but it won't kill old MonoGame. It will still be there with the original API. But I'm hoping that this change will still allow you to run stuff using the original API. It's just that this is an API on top of that lets you get deeper into the details. But the old stuff is still there. If you wanted to use that, you could. So I don't know. That's my thinking, is that we don't want to completely replace the old API with something completely different. I think that we want to do. I think what we want to do is be able to put something new side by side that gives you more functionality, and doesn't break the existing API, but really exposes some of the stuff that's really been there the entire time or been there for a very long time that you could now take advantage of. And then some of that will also include like improvements to audio, and which again, audio, there's not been a lot of improvements over the last, audio is kind of a solved thing in a lot of ways, and really everything else is pretty much okay. I think one of the things I do want to look into a little bit, which is not probably a new next gen API thing, but just a current API thing, is supporting multiple windows officially across desktop machines so that we can do multiple windows and not have just a single window game. We did that once for Windows itself, but we never supported it on other platforms. We could, dynamic sprite font stuff, or not sprite fonts, but dynamic fonts. So they're built on the fly at runtime at high resolution, instead of it being something that is built offline as a plain image that's, fixed resolution. That's something that we want to do. So there are things like that we can do some improvements, but at the core, I think the thing we want to do is always kind of honor that legacy of XNA and how simple it was and how approachable it was and easy to use and actually fun to use. And I think that's the thing that we want to maintain, is keeping it fun to use. I'll be the first to admit, like, the content pipeline became not fun to use very quickly, not quickly, but it became not fun to use over the years. And we're trying to rectify that now and make the content pipeline fun to use again and simple and easy to work with, and let you work around it when need be. And all these things are, part of that is trying to make things fun to use again and simple, instead of going the C++ route, or, the route of like, well, how do I bend Unreal Engine into doing what I want to do here? Kind of thing. We want to give people full control. That's kind of the benefit of MonoGame. And we want to give people the, something that lets them actually write code and not just drag blocks together as a thing. So, yeah. So I think those are all part of, where we're moving to in the roadmap moving forward.
Right. I think it's fair to say that we need to draw it to close. I mean, we're actually almost to time. Just scary.
Yeah. Move forward 2 slides, 2 things to, talk about here. Yeah. Donate. We're always looking to increase our donations so we can spend more time on this. It's important. We want to be one of those alternatives so that you're not stuck with whatever wacky pricing scheme Unity wants to come up with next. Because I don't know, it's been a couple of years. They might come up with something new now. I don't know how their stock price is doing. I guess we'll have to look at that, decide what they're going to do. And yeah, we're trying to, we're pushing on getting more donations ourselves. We're making a more concerted effort for that. But the donations of the community are things that are most important to us, because for you guys to donate and to be this excited and show up for these things tells us that we're doing something right, and we just need to do more of it and faster. And unfortunately, that takes time and money. So that's what we're trying to do. And if you go forward one more slide, I put a new slide in there. Yay! Okay, so we have a Twitch now. We started that. It's just the beginning of it. We're gonna, I don't know, we'll have to have a discussion after this if we're going to move these proceedings to Twitch or something. It'll help with getting more audience, and at the same time, maybe it'll be more reliable than Discord, which is annoying, but it's unfortunate, but maybe that's what we need to do. We could probably still simulcast it here, but maybe we don't want to depend on Discord as our way to gather everybody and gather streams. Maybe we'll have to discuss that. That's a bigger discussion. And then, we're on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and follow us so that we have more subscribers. And, this video is also being simulcast. This presentation is being simulcast there as well right now. So yeah, those are our updates for the month.
Yep. Okay, so let's try and draw this to a close then. Thank you everyone for attending. As you see, the recordings will be both on YouTube and Twitch now. For now and forevermore, so long as we don't lose internet or things break again. But as ever, we continue to try and improve with all the resources we have at our disposal. So thank you everyone for coming, and you know where to find us. We're on the Discord, we're on the chats, we're on the socials, we're everywhere. And if you have a question or if you simply want to help out, then please get in touch, and we'll see you again next month or in between as we do more shorts. Okay, everyone, goodbye.
Bye.